Callie.
Hi, I'm Derek.
I'm Michael.
Francisco.
Hi, my name is Christina Hodges, and I am doing my speech on how animal testing is unethical and immoral. Okay, right now, millions of mice, rabbits, primates, cats, and dogs, and other animals are being tested on and in labs across the country. Worldwide, it is estimated that 50 to 100 million vertebrate animals are used for testing annually. According to the PETA website, more than 100 million animals suffer and die every year in cruel chemical medical training exercises and curiosity-driven medical experiments. Animal testing is immoral and unethical and should be banned. Animals are used for many different tests. The first of these tests being toxicology testing. Toxicology testing is when the animals are used to test drugs as well as pesticides. Animal experiments are not used to show that drugs are safe and effective. They cannot do that. The experiments are only beneficial to humans if the results are valid and can be applied to humans. Here we have toxicology testing using animals. One enormous criticism of these tests is that they are performed without anesthetics, which means that animals can suffer a great deal. The reason avoiding anesthetics use is because the interaction of two or more drugs can affect the animal's metabolism and excretion of the drug. And they don't want that to happen because the test will be null and void. This means that it's more difficult to gauge the specific effects of the drug in question. These animals are uselessly used for the testing of drugs and pesticides. Although thousands of animals tested for one chemical may initially sound like a large number, a product supposedly could be reaching millions of consumers. But animal testing is not mandatory to test the drug or the pesticide. There are alternatives to such. Animals are also used for cosmetic testing. Cosmetic testing is already banned in Belgium, Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. The Consumer Product Safety Commission actually does not require animal testing for cosmetics. The animals are tested for whole body, short-term toxicity, skin penetration, skin irritancy, eye irritancy, skin sensitization, reproductive toxicity, and other painful or deadly tests. Those tests alone, they sound awful, and I wouldn't want them performed on me. Cosmetic tests, there are tests called lethal dosage tests that are used to determine the amount of substance that will kill a predetermined ratio of animals. For example, in the lethal dosage 50 test, subjects are forced to ingest poisonous substance through the stomach tubes, vapor spray, inhalers, or injection until half of them die. That is wrong in so many ways. Not only is animal testing inhumane, it is inherently inaccurate. For example, lethal dosage tests do not measure human health hazards, but only determine how toxic the product is to the type of animal that they're doing the testing on. Test results cannot be extrapolated from a mouse or a rat, let alone various substances. Moreover, the lethal dosage test results can be affected by the age and sex of the animals tested. So they're not accurate. Animals are not only used for toxicity and or toxicology and cosmetic testing. They are also used for study purposes in schools and universities. Animals are bred and used in laboratories, but not all. Some are taken from the pound and used for studies and experiments. Animals are also used by the military for research. The military uses taxpayers' money to fund animal experiments that are aimed at developing new weapons, bioterrorism attacks, and infectious disease control. For example, mice, monkeys, and dogs are frequently used for research involving radiation and disease control. This kills the animals. They are done after these experiments. The second experiment of Armed Forces Radiobiology Research Institute in Maryland found that radiation adversely affects the gallbladder. So they are testing to ruin gallbladders of these animals. It's inhumane. Animal research is unethical, and it causes suffering to animals. Many animals are not given relief for pain and are forced to suffer. Animals develop neurotic behaviors such as swaying back and forth, and they even pull out their own hair due to some of these experiments. After the animals are finished being experimented on, they are typically euthanized, which for most is better than any more painful tests or experiments they may go through. Animals are also killed, so they may undergo a post-mortem examination. These experiments are unnecessary. Animals that have already died could be used if the tests were necessary. Many animals are forced to go days without eating, either due to funding or the nature of an experiment being performed on the animal. There's no justification for these actions. Animals are living creatures and they have moral rights. They feel, see, and breathe just as we do, and as beings ourselves, we should respect that. The harm that these experiments cause is the result of multiplying together the moral value of an experimental animal, the number of animals suffering, and the negative value of harm done to each animal. There is hope for future experimentation animals. There are alternatives. The alternatives that we have are listed over here. The 3 R's: reduction, refinement, and replacement. Reduction is reducing the number of animals used in the experiments by improving experimental techniques, improving techniques of data analysis, and sharing information with other researchers, so that instead of 2 universities doing the same experiment on animals, one university can do the experiment and save other animals. Refinement. Refining is the experiment, the way animals are cared for as to reduce their suffering by using less invasive techniques, better medical care, and giving them better living conditions. If you have to run a test and it's absolutely necessary for this test to be run, they should have better conditions. And replacement. Replace experiments on animals with alternative techniques, such as experimenting on cell cultures instead of whole animals, using computer models, studying human volunteers, and using epidemiological studies. So as you can see, animal testing is wrong and completely unethical. And that's about it. Thank you.